Nigeria Under Siege, Chapter 1. Jake, before Osemudiaman, woke up with a start thinking he heard a noise. Slowly he rolled over the pip at the clock on his bed. It was 2 a.m. in the morning. He muttered under his breath and sat up. The noise came again, this time a bit louder. For the past 12 years, he had been a good cop, that respectedly by colleagues and those in authority. He is the one that get the job done when others failed. He has been so trained, and he can even hear the minutest suppressed sound. Jake Veffo was in his late 30s. He is 6'1" tall, with broad shoulders, and he has a face that always smiles, hence his friends called him Jag the Smiles. Hearing the sound again, he slipped out of his bed, pulling his .45 automatic from under the pillow. This time he was sure the noise was that of a car. "Damn it," he murmured. "What will a car be doing here by this time in the morning?" Moving fast but silently, he tiptoed to the window, raised the .45 automatic above his shoulders, and slightly pulled the blinds down with his other free hand. The powerful lights outside gave him the picture of a parked BMW 5 Series car outside the gates, with the parking lights on. He moved on to the next window to get a better view, and from there he saw 3 men standing by the car. He could see one was huge and thick, the second one was lanky, while the third was short and stout. But Jake Veffo had seen the huge guy somewhere before. He exploded his brains to remember, but could not. The men were now heading for the flat next to him. The 2 men were behind while Mr. Huge led away. Jake now remembered him. He had run into Mr. Huge when he was caught with his girlfriend. Jake Veffo, who could not fight back because he was not supposed to be in that place, was beaten up and thrown up. He had wanted some information from the girl concerning a murder case. He shoved the thought off and brought his mind back to the car, which he identified as a BMW with registration DK9804 FAK. Suddenly, his mind flashed to his neighbor BC. The 3 men were already inside her apartment, which was about 50 feet away from his flat. Smiling cheerfully as if he just got a promotion, he went back to his bed, took out his silencer from the drawer, and screwed it to the .45 automatic. By this time, he was chuckling. He was enjoyed things like this. He went back to the window, but the man had not appeared. He rushed to the back door, opened it quietly, got out, and closed it behind him. As he raced towards the other flat, he stopped dead when he saw them coming out of the apartment. Busy was being dragged by 2 men who gagged her hands tied to her back. Mr. Huge was behind them, now with his hands tucked deep into his pockets. Jake Veffo quickly lurked behind a flower and studied the situation. As they approached the gates, Busy began struggling with them. Jake Veffo moved forward, lurking in the shadows. These men were sure kidnappers, he thought. He either stops them or they make away with the girl. From his hideout, he raised the .45 and aimed, knowing he never missed his target. The gun hissed twice, and Mr. Huge gave a muzzled groan and jerked backward immediately. He quickly aimed again and squeezed the trigger before Mr. Huge hit the ground. The bullet blew off the lankiest man's brains open. The stout man came to an abrupt halt and looked back. Apart from the girl, the songs of the insects, and the powerful street lights, he was alone. Busy began to struggle fiercely from his vice grip. Confused and bewildered, he began to drag her on the ground as he hurriedly made for the car that was about 60 feet away, but he never made it. Jake Veffo shot him at the back of the head. He let go of Busy as he jumped, bowled, and danced in the air before hitting the ground. Hearing the shout, the driver quickly turned his head towards where the sound came from, just in time to see the stout man falling. He quickly engaged the gear, swung the car round, and headed east, cursing as he fired the car through the deserted upward Mission Road. Jake Veffo ran after the car and fired shots as it but didn't stop the driver. He stood as he watched the car fade away into the night. He cursed himself for not thinking about the driver. He would have first taken care of the driver, he thought. He looked round but couldn't see Busy. She must have run back to her apartment. He quickly crossed the gates and went to meet her. The front door was open, so he entered the balcony, crossed the living room, and searched the rooms, but she wasn't there. He then went to the kitchen and met her struggling with a knife to cut herself loose. Her pale face lightened up when she saw Jake Veffo. He came close to her, cut her loose, and removed the gag from her mouth. Both of them stood for some moments looking at each other. "May I use your phone?" he finally said, breaking the silence. "Oh, of course," she stammered. Jake went back to the living room, raised the receiver, and dialed headquarters. Sergeant Osaro responded almost immediately. The phone rang. "This is Edo State Police Headquarters." End of Chapter 1, Nigeria Under Siege.